Plummeting 2,000 feet over 4 miles of roughly pulverized volcanic rock, the Mammoth Mountain Kamikaze Downhill is one of the wildest bicycle races in the world. Stomachs knotted and teeth chattered as each of the 500 suicide pilots climbed onto the flight deck.
I want my mommy. Ready?
Events, just 7 seconds separated leader Norm Alvis from Olympic bronze medalist Thurlow Rogers. GC hopeful Glenn Sanders was only 30 seconds off the pace. Race promoters and spectators were delighted when the General Classification Championship came down to the 6th and final stage, the Whiskey Creek Criterium.
34 seconds down now.
Almost a second.
17 seconds ahead. He's technically 17 seconds behind. I believe Thurlow Rogers was the lead of over 34 seconds on Alvis.
This technical 0.6-mile course was designed with the spectator in mind. Beginning on Minaret Road at Pioneer Market, riders would sprint uphill on Lake Mary Road, turn right onto Miller Siding, and then veer left through the 180-degree Expo Sweeper to Canyon Boulevard. Next came a sharp right through a narrow wooded section, and finally back on Minaret Road for a 40-foot elevation gain per lap.
And as we see the finish here of the women's cycling action.
The Winning Magazine Cycles Peugeot Loop Team.
Thurlow Rogers clinched the GC victory early as leader Norm Alvis was penalized a lap after laying down his bike. At the finish line, race officials debated whether Alvis should have taken the free lap rule, and the racers themselves helped decide who the criterium's top finishers were.
2 and 1. One. Okay, one of the shows, right. Okay, right. So I'm only 1 lap up on you, Carter, Farmer, Nickman, Thurlow, and Broad.
Well, I was a little confused too. I knew I had won. I knew I was in the lead, and I knew I lapped everybody at least once, but the officials kept saying, like, Tom Brosnowski was the winner, and I kept trying to signal to them, look, you know, I'm number 1.
In the women's racing, Olympic silver medalist Rebecca Twigg dominated her challengers, posting 4 victories as she carried a huge lead into the final criterium. forget the cycling action at Mammoth in 1987. First up is the 5-event Whiskey Creek Stage Race, July 22nd through 26th. The Mammoth Mountain Kamikaze, August 15th through 17th, with the all-new event, Dual Head-to-Head Challenge Racing. And the first ever international mountain bike competition, the 1987 Norba World Championships at Mammoth, August 21st through 23rd. Don't miss it.
Mammoth is great. I'd love to come here this winter and go skiing. I won a ski package yesterday, so I'll probably be up with my buddy Steve Haig.
It's real nice. People are so friendly. I haven't been honked at once.
I really like it a lot. Our entire team came up last year. We stayed for 3 weeks and really had a good time.
I thank his crew and him for all this stuff that they're doing. They run a hell of a ski resort and they run a hell of a downhill race.
But it was a 7-Eleven Cup race this year, and I've been following that circuit. But I'm really glad that I came. It's a really challenging race.
All right, thanks a lot. I want to thank the whole Mammoth area. It's a great race, probably the best race we've had all year, and you know, we need more races like that, and it helps when the towns get into it. So thanks a lot.
Sun Tour presents the Raleigh Technium World Mountain Bike Championships. Welcome to Mammoth Mountain Ski Area, located in Mammoth Lakes, California, where for 3 mid-August days, over 400 of the toughest, wildest, and dirtiest cyclists in the world have come to challenge the mountain and each other, striving to become world champions in 4 separate disciplines: hill climbing, observed trials, cross-country, and downhill racing. The High Sierras Inyo National Forest surrounds the popular resort community of Mammoth Lakes. Here, off-road cyclists can explore hundreds of miles of scenic dirt roads and quiet forest trails. While they might prefer to peacefully cruise the forests, these athletes are here instead to test the limits of their machines and their own abilities in the first ever World Mountain Bike Championships. Organized mountain bike events have only existed since the early 1980s. Even so, mountain bike racers now challenge courses throughout North America and Europe, with most competitions centering in New England, the Rocky Mountains, and especially California. Here at Mammoth, mountain bike events complement a 5-stage road race series. The Mammoth Cycling Classic attracts thousands of roadies and dirts, making the area California's prime high-altitude training center. Even the governor of California, George Deukmejian, is here to try out his own mountain bike and to officially start the first event of the World Championships.
I don't plan to enter the race today, so you can all feel at ease. You now have a chance to win.
And the 2 hill climbers with the best chance in this race are John Tomac of Team Mongoose and Schwinn's national off-road champion, Ned Overend. 19-year-old Tomac from Northridge, California, was national BMX champion in 1984. A year later, he quit BMX and bought a mountain bike. He also began road racing. In the next 12 months, he amazed the cycling world, hammering his way into the upper echelon of both on and off-road championship bicycle racing. Tomac's primary competition is Ned Overend of Durango, Colorado, here pulling the field up the first hill. Ned is the first seed, having just won a European championship, crushing the competition in a cross-country race in Avoriaz, France. Like Tomac, the 30-year-old Overend dominates his opponents with superior conditioning. The stamina and speed demanded by road racing, combined with the strength and bike handling developed off the pavement, keep both riders competitive in any terrain. Ned and John have each won several races in the past 8 months, and either could become world champion. Slowed by a crash early in the race, Tomac attacks, fighting his way back to lead the pack. He trails Overend's breakaway by only 20 seconds at the bottom of the long, steep climb. But Ned, apparently immune to fatigue, extends his lead, steadily mashing his way towards the 11,000-foot summit. With 1,000 vertical feet to go, Tomac lurks alone in second place, waiting for Overend to falter. The pack, far below, struggles with a seemingly much tougher course.
I had a pretty good day. You know, everybody's thinking a little bit about tomorrow. But it surprised me that I got that gap early on. Like I say, there's a crash. You might have got stuck behind it a little bit. But once you have that gap, you got the advantage because you develop a rhythm climbing. And in order to close that gap, he would have had to probably go into oxygen death. And my plan, once I had that gap, was that once he closed it, then I attacked. Because in order to close it.
Although cyclists around the world have challenged rocky roads and mountains for decades, it was the fusion of space-age alloys, hip capitalism, and the ingenuity of a few off-road fanatics that created what has become one of the dominant movements in American cycling. Marin County, California often gets the credit as the sport's birthplace, since Gary Fisher dubbed his creation the mountain bike in the mid-1970s. At the same time, however, cyclists throughout the country were likewise refitting their one-speed cruisers with the multiple gearing and caliper brakes of touring bikes. Soon, Fisher and others opened small factories and began selling rugged, custom-designed, all-terrain bicycles. Demand has since grown dramatically, and today most major road bike builders are also peddling mountain bikes. On the pavement, the fat-tired mountain bike is sluggish compared to the sleek road bike. But wheel it into its environment, and the mountain bike's special features suddenly jump into play. The special geometry of the rugged alloy frame heightens maneuverability, durability, and ground clearance. The tires are fat and knobby for treading through soft sand and bouncing over rocks. The wide handlebars, along with the adjustable seat, help maintain the proper center of gravity, creating a more comfortable and controllable ride. And the wide range of 18 gears allow even novice riders to attack hills and obstacles with confidence. Of course, that doesn't mean they'll make it. It is these design and component combinations that enable off-road cyclists to travel long distances, even over difficult terrain, in a fraction of the time it would take a hiker or pack animal. The mountain bike has created a new way to access and enjoy the American backcountry. Like the machine itself, the 4 disciplines of mountain bike competition evolved directly out of the challenges encountered by off-road cyclists on every ride.
Keep an eye on the rider in the section that they're judging.
or walk along beside him with their
For the
raised
observed
fist.
trials competition, the
raised
manicured
fist with
front
no
lawn of the
fingers
Mammoth
raised
Mountain Inn
is
was
good.
transformed
That means
into a
that there are
peculiar
no dabs.
spectacle,
And as
especially
the
for the
dabs occur,
campers
the
and
fingers will go
fishermen
up.
caught unaware of this newest use of national forests.
Mountain biking.
Yeah.
I'm going fishing. I don't know about mountain
In the
biking.
women's division, another world
What's going on here?
challenge. Over at Section 7, we have
Admittedly, the sight of man and machine hopping about piles of rocks and logs does seem a bit bizarre. The observed trials is not a race, but a test of bike handling skills over several sections of natural obstacles. Riders attempt to negotiate each section without touching the foot or another part of the body. Each touch is called a dab and counts as a point against the rider. If a rider has 5 dabs or more, or completely fails a section, officials score the 5-point maximum. The rider with the fewest dabs at the end of the competition is the winner. The borders of each section are marked by red and blue ribbons. Each section has 2 routes within these boundaries. The easier route is for the sport and beginner class riders, while the seemingly impossible route is for the professional class riders. The observed trial specialist is a slightly different breed than most mountain bike enthusiasts. Even their equipment is different. This likable group of hardcore professionals ride specially designed, custom-built, exotic alloy mini-cycles. Here to explain, 28-year-old professional David Arbogast.
Well, this has got a pretty low center of gravity. It's got a pretty steep head angle. This frame is very, very rigid, which is something that I like, so that when I go to jump through a section, the bike's not springing around and I don't get a lot of funny loading. It does what I want it to do. As the evolution of American trials has gone, we've started with mountain bikes and worked our way down. And so we've started with 26-inch wheels to 24, to a 20 and a 24. Now most everybody goes 20 and 20. That's where I'm going next. The advanced trials riders don't really need gears. The chain slap that you would get with a derailleur would tend to drive you nuts as an expert. The seat, in trials, you really only need a seat to kind of lean your leg against. It's like an orientation point. This aluminum seat is really not as uncomfortable as it looks. You can really tolerate to sit on it while you wait your turn in a section or while you're bragging afterwards, you know.
To claim the title, riders had to complete 3 rounds over the 7 sections with the lowest total score. After 2 rounds, 3 riders separated themselves from the rest of the competition. Professionals Peter Delaney, Mike Craig, and Andy Grayson. In Section 4, strategy plays an important part. Here Grayson goes for the clean and makes it for 0 points. Mike Craig, however, falls and fails the section for 5 points. After a foiled first attempt, Delaney reconsiders and decides to take 1 dab rather than risk the fail. Grayson and Delaney demonstrate the friendly atmosphere of trials competition as they discuss strategy on Section 5. With the amateur riders competing alongside the pros, they keep an eye out for more than just the obstacles. Andy Grayson is the first to finish all 3 rounds and appears to have a slim lead. With just Section 7 left, Mike Craig has a chance to win, but only if he cleans it. Grayson anxiously looks on as Craig psychs himself up. Here, Craig cleans the first boulder and positions himself for his next move. Psyching up for the more difficult second boulder, Craig burns up precious energy as he bounces for over 2 minutes. This proves to be a costly mistake as fatigue denies him the victory and Grayson collects the win and the title.
Looks like I got it.
Pro riders in the cross country, make sure you
have your yellow numbers on both hips.
A little less than 4 minutes to go, riders. The only riders who should be in front of the staging line are Ned Overend, John Tomac, John Wiesenreiter, Joe Sloop. Stand by, riders.
The cross-country race is the main event.
Riders ready, go!
It demands mastery of all the elements in mountain biking. Hill climbing, bike handling, downhilling, endurance. Of both rider and machine. Unlike road cycling, these competitors are not followed by a caravan of support vehicles and technicians always ready to change a wheel or provide a whole new bike. Team members merely wear the same uniform. They don't block opponents or provide a draft. In mountain biking, you're on your own, and so the winner of this race has no one to share the glory with. He alone is champion. The best all-around off-road mountain cyclist in the world. The Mammoth Mountain Cross Country is a hill climber's race course. It climbs 700 vertical feet in the first mile, winding across several tree-lined ski runs to an aid station at the mid-chalet. This is the steepest climb on the course, and Ned Overend is again in perfect form, pulling ahead of Rishi Grewal, Michael Closer, John Tomac, George Theobald, Joe Murray, and Casey Kunzelman. After the aid station, racers can shift gears, spin their pedals, and cruise for the next half mile, the flattest section of the course. Crossing Dry Creek and the steep bowls of Chair 5, the road gradually steepens, finally climbing the last pitch to the course's 10,000-foot summit. Before the race, some riders suggested that 29 miles wasn't tough enough for a world championship race. Now they're thankful they only have to face this hill 3 more times. Upon reaching the summit, riders are rewarded with an exhilarating change of pace. The next mile and a half is all downhill, and this is second place Tomac's chance to close the gap on Ned. John, along with the Ross team members Joe Sloop and Casey Kunzelman, is a gonzo downhiller, especially when compared to the cautious and methodical family man, Ned Overend. At the bottom of the first lap, Tomac reigns in first place. The bottom of the downhill is only halfway around the course, however, and the next 3 miles are almost entirely uphill. A half mile from the lap marker, Lowenbrau's Rishi Grewal pulls Ned past Tomac, with Casey Kunzelman close behind. Upon reaching the turnaround in front of the main lodge, Ned has taken the lead back from Rishi.
Yesterday's uphill winner, riding for Team Swin, Ned Overend.
Mountain biking isn't the only kind of race held on Mammoth Mountain. Throughout the winter, the race department here clocks more race starts than any other ski resort in the nation. In fact, with 37 ski lifts, over 3,000 acres, and a long 8-month season, the nation's largest ski resort has attracted national race teams and millions of skiers from all over the world. After 3 laps and 25 miles, it appears that Overend's training schedule was perfectly timed for the World Championships. He's put several minutes on second place John Tomac, who appears to be fading fast. In third, less than a minute behind Tomac, is a surprisingly fresh Michael Closer from Team Fisher. Closer's store of energy will allow him to overtake Tomac with 2 miles to go.
What's about Mike Reagan has 54.
The attraction?
Yeah.
Oh, speed thrills.
Adrenaline junkies.
No question. There's nothing that causes more adrenaline rush than this one race. All season of riding time trial downhills and anything else, nothing causes the adrenaline rush of this one. Downhill racing, on skis, on mountain bikes. The strategy is basic. To win, go as fast as you can, make the fewest mistakes. Part luck, part skill, part insanity. Starting at 11,000 feet from the top of Mammoth Mountain, this notorious World Championship downhill course is nicknamed the Kamikaze. Compared to other, more technical downhill races, this course, designed with speed in mind, is a relative superhighway. The fastest racers will tackle this 3.5-mile course and drop over 2,000 vertical feet in just under 6 minutes. The upper section is characterized by an initial steep descent, with two 180-degree switchbacks through tricky soft pumice. The middle section, with firm ground and few turns, is the fastest, with the top racers reaching over 50 miles an hour. The lower section is relatively flat, with two technical back-to-back S-turns. Next comes a short disruptive uphill section, and finally the crowd-pleasing finish area. At these speeds, concentration is everything. One miscalculation can spell disaster. As in most sports, both equipment preparation and deliberate technique separate the contenders from the also-rans. Advanced technique involves proper weight distribution on the front wheel and on the outside pedal for high-speed cornering. The top riders know which brake to use and when to use it. Others don't. And of course, a dynamic tuck for low wind resistance will shave valuable seconds from the elapsed time. Equipment failure not only knocks the rider out of contention, but usually on his rump as well. Chain derailments are common. Serious riders combat this by shortening chains to reduce chain slap. Proper tire inflation is a trade-off. Low pressure increases traction and cushions the ride for faster turns and better control, but at the risk of pinching the tube for a flat. Expert rider Cliff Hake clearly demonstrates the practicality of his protective gear, appropriately named the Kamikaze Survival Suit.
Downhill championship here at Mammoth GQ. 5 minutes 41 seconds. Casey Kunzelman now sitting in the finish area, seeing if anyone can challenge his time.
Casey Kunzelman of Team Ross shatters the old record by over 15 seconds, only to have teammate Joe Sloop beat his time to become the first downhill world champion.
And finally had to give way to his teammate Joe Sloop. The winner, 5 minutes and 48 seconds.
As in road racing, the majority of mountain bike competitors are men. But women's entries are increasing, and here at Mammoth, a small but competitive field of professional women riders challenge the same courses as the men. Sarah Ballantyne of Durango, Colorado, and Margaret Day of Newport Beach, California, finished 1-2 in both the hill climb and the cross country, with women's national champion Cindy Whitehead dusting her opponents by over 30 seconds in the downhill. Mountain bikes now comprise nearly half of all bicycle sales in the United States, making the sport one of the fastest growing recreational pastimes in the country. This year, the European riders who would have easily dominated the observed trials at Mammoth stayed home to compete in their own championships. Ned Overend and Joe Murray, on the other hand, represented the American emphasis on endurance racing, rolling away with first and second places in the European cross country. Hopefully next year, competitors from both sides of the Atlantic will be here in Mammoth to challenge each other in the 1988 World Mountain Bike Championships. We hope you'll be here too.
Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
This program was brought to you by Sun Tour Bicycle Components, Raleigh Technium Bicycles, and the community of Mammoth Lakes, California.